Okay, I want to start doing a series of videos on single passages that really wreck our traditions. Now, mind you, this is for evangelicals and Protestants because, for the most part, the Catholic and Orthodox are not going to care very much what I have to say about their traditions, even if they are from Scripture. Um, but these verses that we're going to cover simply undo a great deal of what we consider just normal Christianity. And this is not something you got to go real deep into. This is right on the surface. So let's begin this series with Hebrews chapter 10, verses 24 to 25. Now, some of you may recognize that that passage is in regard to not forsaking the assembling of yourselves together. And everybody knows that part. Everybody knows that we are not to forsake the assembling of ourselves together. But that's the negative part of a sentence. The sentence also tells us what to do instead of forsaking the assembling of ourselves together. And every time I bring it up, I said, do you know what it says you're supposed to do? I've had one person say yes, and I brought it up to a large number of people. The answer is that what it says is that we are to know one another in order to provoke to love and good works, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as is the manner of some, but exhorting, and so much the more as you see the day approaching. Now, I actually had my New American Standard Bible out on my phone, but basically you'll find that is what it says in any translation that you look at. Now, it's not exactly written out in most translations, know one another in order that you may provoke one another to love and good works. Instead, it says, consider how to provoke one another to love and good works. But that's not really the best translation. If you look at the Greek, it says to consider one another, not to consider how to provoke. Consider one another or know one another. In getting to consider and know one another, this equips us to be able to provoke one another to love and good works. And provoke is a pretty good word. The Greek word actually means incite, stir up, or even annoy or irritate. But what you are trying to do is to get to know your brothers and sisters so that you can get them to do love and good works, not forsaking the assemblies of yourselves together like some do, but instead exhorting. Now, again, that Greek word for exhortation is a very big word. It gets translated, at least in the King James Version, as beg, plead, console, comfort, admonish, exhort. It's a wide word that basically means to use words to get somebody to do something. That would be my way to sum up all those words. But I think even better that the Bible gives us a good picture of what exhorting means in 1 Thessalonians 5:14, where it tells us that we are to warn the unruly, to encourage the faint-hearted, and to help the weak, and in doing so to be patient with everyone. And I believe that's what Hebrews 10 is talking about. But what we can be certain of is that Hebrews 10:24 and 25 those two verses are not talking about sitting in a pew listening to someone talk. You cannot fit that into the verse in any way. Just because you went to church, just because you sat and listened to a sermon or gave money or sang songs, does not mean that you have assembled in the way that the writer of Hebrews tells you to assemble. He tells you to go, he tells you to know one another, know the people that you're with, so that you can incite them to love and good works. And while you're there, you are going to be exhorting, which is, how you would incite them to love and good works. You would encourage the weak. You would help. You can encourage the faint-hearted. You would help the weak. You would warn the unruly. And in these ways, you would be provoking them to good works. But if you do not want to forsake the assembling of yourselves together, then you need to be doing something. other than just sitting and listening. Because if you're not doing that, you have not forsaken. You have forsaken the assembling of yourselves together, even if you show up in a church and sit in a pew. There is a specific command that goes with don't forsake the assembling of yourselves together. And it's something most of us has never considered doing, despite the fact that in Hebrews 3:13, it says that we're supposed to be doing that every day with one another. So that's the scripture. And I would encourage you to do something with it and to put it into practice. Thank you.